Hello everybody, my name is Trace Perot and this is my YouTube channel. It's called 20 at 70. I'm naming it that because I'm going to turn 70 in about 6 months, and hey, I feel like I'm 20. I have more energy than I ever had when I was 20. I'm doing more. I'm feeling better. I'm healthier than I was at 20. And I just want to get this information out there because, you know, believe it or not, most of you are going to be 70 someday, or 100, or 120, or 140. You're going to want to know how to eat the way that I eat, believe me. You're going to want to know how you can have such high energy levels, such great health, that you feel like you're 20 for the rest of your life. So, anyways, I'm just going to start off by making this smoothie here. And so I'm chopping up bananas, these lovely little bananas, and I'm going to discuss why I'm eating what I'm eating. So, first of all, the name of my station is it's 20 at 70. I have about 31 years of experience with plant-based diets. First 15 years was, the first year was, actually the first 6 months I was a vegetarian. And that took me so far, but my body was crying out for a little further exploration. So I got into raw food. And so the first 15 years I was dealing with what is commonly known as high-fat raw, okay? As it turns out, that's probably not even as healthy as the standard American diet. Of course, nobody at that time really knew. They had just latched onto this whole idea of raw food, not killing the enzymes of food and, you know, consuming them in their raw state, blah, 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 which was all sound in principle. However, the vogue in the raw food movement was to make all this gourmet stuff, you know, out of nuts and seeds and, you know, high levels of fatty foods, you know, like avocados and whatnot. And that's basically its downfall, or has been the whole raw food downfall. Because, you know, although the food was incredibly good, you felt like shit all the time. You had no energy, you got sickly. I mean, everybody I knew who was into raw food like that, you know, they were not healthy, and neither was I. But I persisted. I thought, you know, there was going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And the more I did it, the better I'd get. Well, after 15 years, I have not made any progress in terms of the way I thought I should feel. You know, being super healthy, eating 100% organic, eating all raw vegan. And I just never felt good, right? So I happened to be doing some work up in Seattle, or no, it was Portland. And at that time I was doing a lot of traveling, so I got finished with a job as a traveling salesman, believe it or not. And I decided to go to this retreat in Sedro-Woolley, Washington. Or it was a raw food retreat center, and there were like 2 gourmet raw food chefs there. I was doing a woofing thing, so I was just working off my room and board. And great tasting food, fantastic tasting food, but same old story, you know. Eat it, no energy, felt like shit. You know, so I just happened to get lucky. This happened to be the same raw food retreat center that Doug Graham conducts his fitness seminars at, Health and Fitness Week, Cedra Woolley at the retreat center there. And so the owner of the retreat center one day came to me and said, you know, there's this crazy guy who does nothing but exercise all day. And he's going to show up in about 2 weeks. And we're taking off, you know. He and his wife are going to go off horseback riding or something because they didn't want to be around. And but they said, oh, you know, if you want to join in, instead of paying the whatever it was, the fee to participate in Health and Fitness Week, we're just going to, you can just help him out. You can take care of the property and help him out, whatever he needs to help. So I thought, okay, you know, this sounds interesting. You know, I'm not getting the results I want. So there was a couple of his books there, primarily the 80-10-10 book. And so I gave it a read, and voila, I knew immediately that Mr. Graham, Dr. Graham, had the cat in the bag. Okay? He was right on the money. I had experienced all the negative effects of being on a high-fat raw diet, and everything in that book made complete sense, complete and total sense. So I started in doing 80-10-10, and then he showed up a couple weeks later, and I got the inside scoop on it all. And oh, by the way, I'm making this wonderful smoothie right here. I just got finished with like 45 minutes of exercise. I had a few dates, you know, before that, you know, not that many calories. I don't like to load up on stuff before I do something like exercise, you know, intense physical activity, work like that. I like to go for a couple hours and work up an appetite. I think the adage is that you need to earn your food, something that Doug Graham encourages us to do, and he's right. It works. You feel much lighter when you're out there exercising or doing yard work, or in this case farm work in the tropics in the heat. You're much lighter, you're much more energetic if you don't have all that food in you. And then after a couple hours of doing that, you've worked up an appetite, you come in, you eat, and you feel great. So, anyways, I've got bananas, which is the wonder food. Basically, my diet is a staple of bananas. People may think that's strange, but when you think about it, whoa, the ants are going crazy. When you think about it, that's no more strange than having a staple diet of rice or meat or any other thing, potatoes, right? It's another food, okay? The big advantage is that it is absolutely high, what's called high-density sweet fruit, which bananas are one of, are the absolutely perfect fuel for your body, okay? So that's my staple. I put away about 40 pounds of bananas a week, and I eat them in smoothies, I make fruit salads, I freeze them, I make ice cream out of them, and they are my major source of calories. There are a couple of other instances of things that will, you know, there's a lot of, in Hawaii, in the tropics, there's a lot of high-density sweet fruit. You got durian, you have rollinia, you have jackfruit, you have champadak, so you got a lot of things going on, a lot of good stuff. And I'll get into what that means, high-density sweet fruit, in a little bit. Anyways, I'm also putting celery in here. Celery is incredible for heat resistance. So yesterday I was out working. I worked 5 hours straight. I had 2 smoothies, and both of them had celery in them. And I had no problem working in the hot climate, which is, you know, vastly different from when I don't eat celery before I work out in the hot climate. Then I really feel it. It really slows me down. So celery has natural sodium in it. the lesson there is that we only absorb minerals that are processed by plants. Okay, we cannot absorb minerals out there in the dirt. The stuff that has not been processed by plants. It's logical. So yeah, the minerals, the natural sodium, which is a mineral in celery, is a tremendous heat-resistant thing. So if you do work in the heat, if it's August and you're out sweating, like I did more than once when I lived in Sedona, and I was juicing celery, although I don't juice anymore. I've since learned that it's not good for me, so I haven't done it for years and years, and I don't miss it a bit. Anyways, I would go out and work 110 degrees for 4 hours after drinking a couple of glasses of celery juice, and it was a piece of cake. So I'm also putting cucumber in this smoothie. Now, I usually use kale. I like to put kale in my smoothie, but I don't have any kale because I didn't make it to the market this week. So I'm putting in the greens that I have. And the greens that I have are celery, cucumber, and I'm going to put some lettuce in here. I've got some romaine lettuce. So I'm going to chop up that and put it in there. So I'm loaded up with greens now. And all I have to do is add water and I'm good to go. So anyways, I was talking about Doug Graham. So yeah, so he shows up at the retreat. So it was a brilliant introduction to the 80-10-10 diet, which was like my lifesaver after 15 years of struggling with a plant-based, raw vegan diet that was high in fat, that was making me feel like crap all the time. He just had the answer. And that was 15 years ago. So for 15 years, I've been 80-10-10. So my total experience has been about 31 years of a plant-based diet. Okay? And I'm never going to look back because I'm getting all the results that I want out of my diet. I knew it was there the whole time, from the beginning. I knew that, you should be able to eat. It should change your mood. It should keep you healthy. You should get energy. And eventually I got there. So I just want to share these things with other people who are into what I call conscious eating. I want you guys to be successful at it. And I have to admit, one of my great motivations is the ethical treatment of animals. Okay, so the more people that I can influence to adopt a plant-based diet, the fewer animals are going to suffer. And believe me, they are suffering. And there's absolutely no excuse for it. It's an error that humanity has been involved in for thousands of years, and it is an error, and humanity is in error in their consumption of these animal products. So, anyways, yeah, so I adopted the 80-10-10 diet, and it's going great. Right now I live in Hawaii. There's lots of exotic tropical fruit, but you don't have to live in Hawaii to do 80-10-10. I did it for 3 years living in Boston. Through the winter time, I'd go out cross-country skiing. I had tons of energy. The other thing that 80-10-10 will do is increase your resistance to cold, so you won't get cold as easily. Your system is thriving. It's I was just thinking the other day that really a large part of it is just about the flow. Your body is 60 or 70% water. Okay, so you take a hamburger, you eat a hamburger, it's like putting a rock in all that flow. But, right here, this is probably about 85% water as it is right now, right? So you're just basically staying in the flow. You're feeding yourself with all this food that's high in water content. And, it's compatible with the way your body works. And believe me, the people out there that are eating a standard American diet, they're like, it's like a major burden. But when you're on something like 80-10-10, you're on a fruit-based diet with vegetables and all that kind of stuff. You're mentally and physically, you're kind of riding high. Okay, and so that's just one of the benefits. Speaking of that, the effects, everybody has to have a reason to do these things. If you're doing on the standard American diet and it's not working, then you've got a reason, okay? Maybe you have a serious health problem. Maybe you're facing chemotherapy or you have diabetes or something, You've got a good reason to take these things seriously. And I have to point out, really, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Matt Monarch, but I ran into him early on in the high-fat raw thing, and he was a superfood salesman, kind of like David Wolf, but he's had a really tragic development in his life, and I just want to make a point about that. When you're speaking of the effects on your overall health and your well-being of your diet, I'm pretty sure what happened to him is that he was not getting the effects that he thought he should from a raw vegan diet because it was a high-fat raw vegan diet, just like I was not getting the effects. However, he took a path that involved doing enemas, and he did many enemas. I guess he got completely addicted to doing enemas, and my theory is because it gave him the high that he was looking for that he never got from high-fat raw vegan. Okay, so the development is that he basically completely lost his health and everything that he owned practically, and his place down in Ecuador and all that stuff, and he paid a heavy price, and he even had to have surgery more than once, and he lost most of his part of his colon, and he's back eating meats and all that kind of stuff. And so that is one example, because really you do think that even in high-fat raw vegan you should get all these benefits, but you're not going to. Okay, and fat is the culprit. Okay, so of course with 80-10-10 you want to keep your fat consumption down to 10%. Like for instance, yesterday I made salad dressing out of lemon juice, orange juice, and one avocado, and the avocado was about this big, and that's the only fat that I had all day. It'll probably be the same today. I'm also putting a lilikoi, which is also known as passion fruit. It's a beautiful fruit, if you can see that. It's got these black seeds, and it's kind of like a yellow paste. So I'm putting lilikois in here. This is a fantastic fruit. It's only available in the tropics, unless you are rich enough to have it airlifted to your locale. But I have read from a very reliable source, and I really believe it, that just one of these lilikois has 5 times the vitamin C of an orange. And vitamin C is very important, especially to your immune system. The other benefit of lilikoi is just a fantastic flavor. It goes tremendously well with bananas. Gives it kind of a slightly tart contrast to the sweet bananas, and you get all that vitamin C. So, I'm eating celery for the natural sodium, plus celery is delicious. Cucumbers for the natural silicon. Cucumbers are heavy in silicon. Silicon is what your nails and your hair and your teeth use. Okay, that's the mineral. That's the hair and nails and teeth mineral, silicon. Once again, processed by plants, so you can absorb it. And believe me, it makes a difference. I mean, I challenge anybody to go out and buy 3 or 4 cucumbers and eat them in 3 successive days, and notice how much your nails have grown in that time. I mean, it's absolutely astounding. That's how efficient your body will process that natural sodium, or that natural silicon. Anyways, so, and I'm eating the bananas because bananas are what they call a high-density sweet fruit, okay? As you can see, we'll peel one. It's very dense. In this, there's probably about 30 calories in this little apple banana. Cavendish banana, one of those big ones you get at the supermarket, those are probably 80 to 90 calories. So when you're done, this smoothie is probably 800 to 900 calories, okay? Calories do not make you fat, okay? They give you energy. Unless, of course, you're eating all your calories from a fat source, you know. Then they'll make you fat, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, so right now I need about 3,000 calories a day. I do a lot. I'm very active. I got, 2 musical groups going on. I'm working 40 hours a week. I'm going to school. I'm taking a couple classes at the university. I'm exercising. I'm working here on the farm in Hawaii. So I've got a lot going on. I'm very active. And I need about 3,000 to 3,500 calories every day.
Trace, are you on the phone?
Anyways, back again. So anyways, I was talking about high-density sweet fruit. So, 80-10-101 is what this is all about. So you have 3 kinds of fruit. You have high-density sweet fruit, bananas, jackfruit, durian, Bidiba, better known as Rollinia, and there's several other ones out there too. Then you have what is called low or sub-acid fruit. Sub-acid fruit. This is a sub-acid fruit. This is a star fruit. Okay. The third other sub-acid fruits are like mangoes. Apples, those are 3 sub-acid fruits, and then you have acid fruit. So you have high-density sweet fruit, sub-acid fruit, and acid fruit. Acid fruit are oranges, limes, grapes, berries, that sort of thing. This is important information when it comes to food combining, which is another subject I'm going to address on my next video. It's something that every person who's into conscious eating, who's thinking about being a vegetarian, even for people eating the standard American diet, if they knew about food combining, which they don't, they would even be enjoying an extreme change in their health for the better. Anyways, that's something I'm going to address, and I do find it kind of interesting that almost virtually none of the plant-based presenters on YouTube, the Dr. Michael Greger and Barnard and all these people, they never mention anything about food combining. And food combining is like it's one of the most important aspects of eating. And if you don't know about food combining, you're going to cause yourself trouble. So I find it interesting that none of them ever talk about that. You can dial up information about food combining on YouTube and on the internet, but by and large, these are not plant-based presenters, and I find that very peculiar because my journey started 31 years ago with a book called Fit for Life by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond, and that was all about food combining, right? So that's something very essential you need to know, and I'm going to address that. And then the other thing that I wanted to make sure I made a wanted to point out about the fruit was, yes, there's three kinds of fruit. They do require different combinations, either with other fruit or with each other. And but I'm saving all that for another video. In the meantime, I'm going to put down my calories. Here's my smoothie. And enjoy the rest of the day. I'll probably have, this is my first smoothie, I'll probably have another one just like it. And that'll set me up for most of my calories for the rest of the day. Anyways, I am Trace Perot. This is 20 at 70. And, you know, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will be back with you in another episode. This is episode 1, by the way.